keep us apart and have us be angry at one another. What Governor O'Malley is talking about and what he represents in his leadership, what he just said on the stage, is the very best of us. And if I had $1 for every person who came to a town hall in Nashua or Des Moines and said that I'm here because Martin O'Malley sent me, I would not have to hold a fundraiser tonight. We would have more than enough resources. So thank you for sending me this great letter. I'm waiting for your leadership and the example that you set. So here we are with perhaps the greatest set of challenges before us that this country has ever faced, certainly that we've ever faced over the course of our lives. And the United States is as divided, the reasons that we just discussed, as it has ever been. And I was looking for inspiration in terms of how we talk about how we meet this challenge and how we bring people in and together to make sure that we overcome this set of challenges. And someone sent me this extraordinary speech by Robert Kennedy that he made at the end of 1967 of human civilization. Can we freely choose those who will represent us? Can we come together in common to face our challenges and also pursue boldly, ambitiously, fearlessly our aspirations and put in the work and the service and the sacrifice to achieve them? And in the face of that division, I think he was trying to remind us of what we have in common. And he said in that speech that we share this precious possession, trying to ban all Muslims, all people of one religion, from the shores of a country, of every person from every part of the planet. At a time that we cage kids and deport their moms to the very countries from which they fled, or describe Klansmen or Nazis as very fine people. Reminding ourselves of who we are at our best is so incredibly important. And as an El Pasoan, who comes from one half of the largest binational community in the Western Hemisphere, 3 million of us speaking English and Spanish, 2 countries, 2 histories, 2 cultures, joined, not separated, by the Rio Grande River to form something far greater, more stronger, more powerful than the sum of our parts or our people. I want to make sure that we remember that that is America at our best, and that El Paso tonight is one of the safest cities in the United States of America, not despite the fact that we are a city of immigrants and asylum seekers and refugees, but because we are a city of immigrants and asylum seekers. Those very differences, we must not tolerate them or respect them, but embrace them. They are foundational to who we are and who we can become, again, at our best. But it's not just immigrants that I think of. It's not just the millions who are laboring in this country in the toughest jobs imaginable, so often in the shadows, paid a minimum wage, maybe at best, far often something far below that. Their status used as leverage against them, kept in some kind of modern-day bondage. It's not just the dreamers who are every bit as American as anyone else here in this room, not just being taught in those classrooms, but the teachers in those classrooms. Not just being served by those who put their lives on the line, but deployed tonight in Afghanistan and Iraq and half a world away for this country, which they're not yet a citizen. Freeing them forever from any fear of deportation, making them U.S. citizens in this, their true home country, is us living up to the best traditions and the best fearless future for America. But I also think about those who've been exiled within their own country. Folks who look from without on an economy that's doing really well for a very small number of Americans. Those same people who are working 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet, who cannot take time off to take care of themselves or a family member. Women who are earning on average 80 cents for every $1 that a man makes, but African American women, 61 cents, Latinas, 53 cents in the year 2019 in the United States of America. Folks, in the wealthiest, the most powerful country that the world has ever known, consumed by diabetes, incurable cancers, and the flu, not for lack of resources, but for lack of political will. And in this democracy, so many people literally drawn out, the outcasts from this democracy. In my home state of Texas, before 2018, we ranked 50th in voter turnout. Not because we love democracy less than any other state in the union, but we were literally drawn that way. Folks based on the color of their skin, their ethnicity, their country of national origin, drawn out of a congressional district to diminish the power of their vote or the likelihood that we would ever hear their voice. How do we meet this moment, this defining moment of truth for our country, by bringing everyone in? It's that same democracy, the greatest mechanism humankind has ever devised to unleash the potential and the genius of a people, that we must make work if this country is going to work. We announced last week a bold set of proposals to do just that, registering 55 million more Americans into our democracy with same-day and automatic voter registration. Young people pre-registered at 16 and 17 years old, so they're ready to vote on day one when they turn 18. And then removing the barriers that have been put in place throughout this country, especially in my part of the world, the former Confederacy. So in Georgia, no more purges of the voter rolls that knocked out hundreds of thousands of people from being able to choose states that Abraham says in Texas, no more racial gerrymandering, and no more voter ID laws that say that you can use your license to carry a firearm to prove who you are at the ballot box, but you cannot use your student ID at Paul Quinn College to prove who you are at the ballot box. A new Voting Rights Act that ensures that we count every vote and that we hear every single voice is fundamental to our success as a country. And then, if we can restore confidence in our elections by holding those accountable for the invasion of our democracy in 2016, following the facts and discovering the truth as far as that path leads us, as high up as it goes, and making sure that no man, no matter what position of power or public trust that he holds, is above the law in a country of laws. Ending gerrymandering, by which members of Congress choose their own voters instead of the other way around, and following the example that we are setting tonight, no PACs, all people, not corporations, not special interests, not lobbyists. Sorry, folks, for those of you who are lobbyists. Not lobbyists, but the people of this country who want to make sure that their voice and their vision is reflected in those who represent them in the institutions of power. I am confident that if we bring people into this democracy, every single one of those challenges that we care about will be met by every single person in this country. So when it comes to healthcare, guaranteed, high quality, universal care, primary care, mental health care, and healthcare also means that every woman makes her own decisions about her own body. When it comes to our economy, it means a minimum wage that is a living wage. The floor set at $15 an hour, paid family leave, non-discrimination in the workplace, and the ratification of the Equal Rights Amendment. So, women are equal to men in every respect in this country. And then Walker was talking about his kiddos. And I'm thinking about mine right now, my very Henry, who is 8 years old. Amy and I called him from our hotel room on Sunday, and we're checking in and trying to answer his questions about why we were not at his baseball game and why we were not going to be there the next day, why we had to take some time away from home. And I was talking about all these things that we're discussing tonight. And it's just really important that we are there for the people who need us at this moment. Everyone's got to do their part, everything that they can. And he said, so Dad, if you win, does that mean we get to live in El Paso? I said, no, son, it doesn't work like that. If we win, we'll actually be living in Washington, D.C. And I started to explain it, and he interrupted me. And he said, no, if you win, we'll be able to live in El Paso, because remember, you told me that the climate change that is taking place, the fact that El Paso has warmed more than almost any other city in the United States, twice the level of the global average. You told me, Dad, that El Paso will not sustain human life down the road. And I know you're judging me based on my parenting skills. But I want to make sure that I'm clear with it. Eyes wide open going into the future. But he understands that if we are going to meet this, the greatest existential challenge we have ever faced, it's going to take every single one of us. It cannot be met by half steps or half measures or only half the country. And he wants to know that we're going to be able to do this. And so that's why I wanted to say thank you for giving us the resources, not just the dollars that you contributed tonight, but your willingness to make phone calls, to knock on doors, to bring more people into this democracy so that it will work for all of us. Because in closing, I want to tell you that we saw a window onto that future in Texas, a state that had ranked 50th in voter turnout. It was so reliably red that Democrats did not even bother to compete or show up. By going to every single one of the 254 counties of Texas, by taking no one for granted, nor by ensuring that we wrote nobody off, at the end of the day, though Ted Cruz was a little bit ahead, 2.6% to be precise, we won more votes than any Democrat had in the history of the state of Texas. We won independents, we even won 500,000 Republicans, young voter turnout up 500% in early voting in Texas. And thanks to everybody who's involved and everybody who turned out. 2 new members of Congress, Colin Allred and Lizzie Pamela Fletcher, replacing